Hello everyone and welcome back to the SteemTrail Gaming News. Today is the 13th February of 2018. My name is Kralizec and I will be your host for the evening. Today we got 3 stories for you guys. We will start with a few YouTubers surviving an armed break-in. Then we will take a look at Hawaii, where they are introducing laws against loot boxes. Well, sort of. And last of all, we're going to talk about the upcoming Super Mario movie. Or is it upcoming? But let's begin with the serious piece of news today. Let's look at a few YouTubers who survived an armed break-in. This is about Roosterteeth Alum and Mac... Okay, sorry. This is a horrible name. Roosterteeth Alum McTurney and Gavin survived an armed break-in. They are both pretty famous YouTubers as Mr. Roosterteeth. Oh, these names are just horrible. Mrs. Gavin Mr. Gavin. He is a former creative director of Roosterteeth. He is also one of the co-creators of the Slow Mo Guy series on YouTube. And then you have Mrs. Megan Turner, who is a pretty well-known streamer on Twitch. And reportedly, they survived a break-in by a person who is named Christopher Giles, who was an avid player of video games, as was known for watching YouTube videos that were centered on his hobby. And he, well, seems he developed some feelings towards Mrs. Turner and a little bit of resentment for Mr. Free. A little bit. So he decided to go into their house with a gun to kill Mr. Free, as he wanted him to die alone without any children. That's what is found inside his phone. And it seems that he committed suicide after shooting himself with a .45 caliber handgun after he didn't find any of the YouTubers who reportedly hid in the closet. Yeah. So now YouTubers get feared for their lives. Fun shit happening. This actually happened in January and was sort of overlooked when all the Logan Paul shit was happening on YouTube, created all that drama. Everybody's focusing on this. And this is actually a bigger story. I'm sort of sad I didn't see this earlier. As, man, this is some shit. So it seems Mr. Giles broke into their house somewhere in the morning of January 26th. And he fired at least one shot. But he, as I said, he didn't find a couple. Then he tried to leave, but he found being blocked by the police. There was some gunshots being heard. One of the officers fired at the vehicle, and Giles was discovered dead. It seems he committed suicide. Officially, there isn't a statement out. It is possible that he was shot by the officer, though it seems unlikely, as it seems it was the gun in his hand that shot him. Some investigation of Giles' cell phone revealed lots and lots of shit against Mr. Free. As I said, I want Gavin Free to die alone with no children. There was tons of evidence naming Free and Turner many times. And it seemed he was a little bit nuts. Yeah, pretty obviously. This isn't obviously the first case of violence against YouTubers, but usually it was perpetrated through this thing called swatting, which, again, I just don't understand how that the fuck is a thing. It's a really American thing, as if you try to do that with the police here in Europe, they would just be like, fuck off. But this could certainly happen here in Europe as well. You just need one crazy person with a gun. Or not even a gun, just a big-ass knife. You can kill people with a knife as well. Not even a big-ass knife, just a small kitchen knife. Stab somebody enough times, they will die. But what I want to say mainly is, don't do this. Please, don't do this. whatever your thoughts are to anybody, anywhere, if you're feeling resentful to anyone, don't do it. Don't try to kill them. That will not solve the situation at all. It will just create sadness, panic, misery, and chaos. And you don't really want that. Introduce more of that into our world. As it stands, it already has enough of those features, sadly. And this is a sad story. Luckily, it has a happy ending with nobody than the perpetrator being hurt. The YouTubers didn't get hurt at all. They hit, so at least there's that. But still, it shouldn't be the case that somebody walks into your home, tries to kill you. That's just horrible, and sort of frightening. I understand that life sometimes is that way, but I wish it wouldn't. Okay, let's move on to Hawaii, where lawmakers are now introducing some loot box regulation bills. These aren't laws that are in effect at the moment, they are just proposed laws. But what they want to do is to prohibit the sales to anybody under the age of 21 and to require the games that include loot boxes to have clear labels that they do include them. This is again following all the EA bullshit that sparked this, but obviously you cannot blame EA solely for this. There are many other companies using loot boxes in their games as well. And yeah, good job, Hawaii. I hope these laws go through and that other American states take them into effect. Hopefully some European states take them into effect. Maybe some Asian countries take them into effect. Effectively making video game publishers realize that they just cannot abuse loot boxes in the way they have been until now. They really cannot, as it is a big problem and needs to be solved. I've made my position clear on this many times already, as it's been an ongoing thing for about 2 months at this point. And just fuck loot boxes. And fuck publishers who abuse them. Mainly EA. And almost every mobile developer. That's essentially the only thing I'm not sure how it will be treated. How will mobile games that include loot boxes be treated? Because those aren't usually sold. They're free to play. And I wonder if I could force Google and Apple to set in an age restriction on any app that includes loot boxes. And that would be a hard thing for Google and Apple, as there are way too many apps on their stores, and they would essentially need to go through each of them to check if they do have loot boxes, and obviously check any future apps if they do use loot boxes as well. But the future ones would be actually easier, as I know there is some sort of mechanism in play already in checking the apps. This would just add one more feature to it. The real question is, would this apply to apps that are old as well? And how it would be enforced, and whether the publishers who make these games and fail to mention this would be punished, or if it would be Google and Apple being punished. If it would be Google and Apple, there's a good chance that they would actually enforce these rules on their stores as well. If it would be the publishers, Google and Apple might be just like, fuck it, we're not going to do it. If you want to punish them, you have to do it individually to each single company. Let's move on to our last topic for today. Let's take a look at the Super Mario movie that, well, was reported to be in the works with the studio who has made the Despicable Me series. And it's just Illumination Entertainment. Right now, it's gotten a little bit more unsure. There was a statement by Shigeru Miyamoto himself, who said, we talked together and shared the feeling that if we can't make something interesting, we'll just call it quits. But we've already met a number of times to hash out the screenplay. Our talks together are progressing, and I hope to make an announcement once we're ironed out some of the things we'd like to schedule. So I'm going to guess that the movie will actually take place, but it might take more time than most people would assume. I'm going to say we will have to wait at least 2, maybe 3 years before we actually see a Super Mario movie. And if it doesn't happen until then they will probably call it quits. The reason they might be considering calling it quits is pretty simple. This game doesn't really have a strong story to push the game along. And they need to create a story that would make sense inside the gaming world, fit the lore, even though the lore is somewhat ubiquitous. Did I say that right? I hope I did. And at the same time would be fun to watch at a big screen. Those things together aren't as easy as it might sound. Yeah, you might just make a simple journey of a guy who's a plumber going in to save the princess from a giant turtle. That might work just fine. The thing is, how do you make him have combat abilities, for example? Because you need some action in this sort of movie, as it's essentially go save the princess, so you need some action in there. How do you make the action make sense inside a story? How do you make the Mushroom Kingdom look mushroomy? How do you make Mario a sensible character who isn't like a guy appearing there from another dimension, as it was in the original 1993 Super Mario Bros. Movie? You know, all these things are actually very hard and need to be taken into consideration unless they want to make another shit Super Mario movie, essentially burying it for another 20 years. And that's going to be it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please consider giving us a thumbs up here on YouTube and subscribing to our channel. If you are watching this on Steam, maybe you want to give us an upvote and follow our blog. Either way, be sure to leave a comment. There are nice topics today. Be sure to leave a comment at least on one of them. And be also sure to tune in tomorrow for more gaming news, as we are a source of daily gaming news every single day. See you guys later with more gaming content.